We are recording, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday, September the 7th. This is your swing trading room. You guys want me to do the intro? I'm not in Denver, but I'll do it. Ready? Live from a mile high in the sky. This is your Superfly, our collective, market affecting, knowledge interjecting, winning trade detecting. It's your host, Blake Anderson, with another special occasion of market inspiration, reminding you to love life, live life, and trade it. We will add it. Hey, if you don't see it, throw it on there. Like I said, I'm a little late today, so we'll look at CGC every single day for the next couple months. This is the S&P 500. We talked about a little bit yesterday how this is going to be a fib level, so not too much change today, huh? Thanks, Justin. I am working on my intros. I have to be able to compete with Brad and Mr. Newsom, so lots of work to be done. So again, yeah, this is the S&P 500 kind of pulled into this support level, right? We just put a fib on it. I'm not going to sing like Newsom because he's a much better singer than me. So I said this is the first level support where I will be looking to add some swings. This level right here for me is going to give me the big check mark saying, hey, time to get a little bit heavier. So let me hop over to the hourly on this time frame. There you go. Really, when you look at it, a whole lot didn't happen today just in terms of the market. Thanks, Don. Thanks. See, you know what? I just need a little practice with my intros. Who knows? Maybe I'll get creative and come up with my own as well. But I have to give all the props to Mr. Yates on that one. So these are the Qs. Going to look very similar to the S&P 500. The Russell. So the one that was looking different yesterday was the Dow Jones, right? Guess what? Not too much different. So for you guys that day traded today, let me show you what I traded. So hopping over here, took two trades, lost on Pan W. Very small. That's the goal, right? Lose small. Intraday. This is the 15. Try to take this breakout early, thinking, hey, we got a little gap up here, perfect gap, all-time highs. May take a second. Maybe it'll get going. And then we got trailed out down here for small loss. And then the other one that I took was WLK. So WLK, there she was. Lots of lines drawn on there. I know it's probably confusing now, but basically we were trading this off the 15. Boom, right there. There's the break. 10 EMA coming down. Took some down here, and we actually marketed some out here because we saw it basing, got trailed out the rest there. And let me show you what the daily looked like. There it is. Some people are trapped. So overall, 1.19 win and a 0.25 loss. It's a little under an R for the day. All right, so let's dive into some of these swings. Johnson and Johnson. Bobby, are you in here today? If not, no problem, because guess what? This one's recorded. Or being recorded, rather. So here was the plan last week. We said, hey, great push out of Johnson & Johnson. We'll take a stab at it here with a stop here. I did take a fourth off yesterday. So nice push. If you're in this one, I think you're safe to manage. I hope you took some off at least a quarter today if you didn't yesterday. Pretty clear resistance there. So hopping over to the hourly. Yeah, why not, right? I'll tell you guys something. I won't say I caught the bottom because I actually got in at 133.50, but man, it's never that close. Anyways, there's the daily. I'm looking for this to do something like this, put in another low, right? That'll give me a pivot, and then I'm just going to move my stop on up. Actually, you know what I'm going to do, guys? You heard it here first. Just go ahead and move the stop up. Boom, right there. Don't want to see it come back down here. Actually, I'm going to give it just a little bit of room. How about that? 132.50. Out of fourth. Love to see a pivot where I can move it up even more and see what JNJ does. NTNX. This is a great buy low, sell high situation here. Who was messaging me on buy low, sell high situations? Was that you, Stephen King, Yates? Someone said, hey, you know what? I'm loving this buy low. kind of buy into an expected support area, get a little bit of advantage on it instead of buying some breakouts. So I think this is one of those names. Problem is, you just had earnings. Looks like a little bit of a miss and just a sell-off. But the truth is, we know because we trade gaps, if earnings is truly, truly bad, you'll get a gap like this. So I think this is maybe just be some people taking profits. Yeah, usually I like to take it right in front of the 200 if I'm going to buy on the dip and see if I can get some type of rounding action to move up a stop, where I would use like an arbitrary stop. So here's what I'm going to do on this one. So let's see if we can get a little bit deeper pull on this. I'm going to set an alert rather, and boom. So this is going to be a buy low, sell high situation for me, unless I get something like this. So you guys are probably starting to notice everything that I look for is pretty predictable, right? I'm either buying down into support level, or I'm waiting for some rounding pattern, or Mr. Squiggles to come play ball with us with a higher low. You got it. You got it, guys. Throw them on there. There are a few others in Slack that I will get to as well. Again, my apologies. Running late because I'm in Atlanta. Anyone else here live in Atlanta that has to deal with this traffic? Sorry. So that's my thoughts on NTNX. Nice open today. That's usually promising. In my experiences, when something opens strong on the 30-minute, it usually is a good indication for things to come, at least for the rest of the day, but maybe some buyers stepped in today. ACB, is that one? Yeah, that's a cannabis play. All right, so here's what we'll do. We have CRON, ACB, CGC. These are all cannabis plays, right? Cheryl says, don't live there, but my husband works on Roswell outside of Atlanta. We live in South Carolina. South Carolina is beautiful. Yeah, so here is ticker symbol CRON. If anyone remembers, I was long this one. I took a small position, like a third position, took some profits off here, and then this took me out because there was some news that investors were worried that they may have reported some things falsely. So that's the fundamental side of Cronos Group. Technically speaking, it gaps, it moves a lot. It moves fast. So if you're in ticker symbol CRON, I think you're okay. If you're looking for a stop area on this, I'm going to be honest, I would probably not let this get below this 1060 level. Because at some point, I'm expecting something like this to happen on these, and it could be even deeper. So I would go ahead and get stopped. There's two ways you want to do this. You either want to get stopped out up here, or you want to give it room to pull back and give you new levels before you move your stop up. You don't want to be the middle person. So here's my advice. If you're in Cronos Group, don't be the person to get stopped out down here at like 950, because then we're starting to get into support levels. Either have your stop up here or down here for a longer term play. And of course, per your rules. All right, so there's the hourly. Yep, it's still strong. We will be watching it. Here is Aurora Cannabis. So here's something to watch. Someone just put this in. Christian. So something to watch on some of these cannabis plays are which ones are stronger. So we look at relative strength, right? And if you look at the overall cannabis industry names, which ones are trading above this 200 simple moving average here, trading above 50, and maybe even the 10. Let me throw the 100 on there for you guys. I know that's a very popular one, and for some reason it's not saving on my daily chart. There we go. So if I'm trying to get exposure to the cannabis industry, Cronos Group looks strong, right? How about Canopy Growth Corp? Absolutely, very similar. We talked through this one a little bit yesterday, and we'll probably talk through it again every day for the next coming months because there's a lot of volatility, a lot of potential in this. But yeah, I would personally leave Aurora Cannabis Company alone right now, only because I think there's stronger plays out there. and this really should have gone and been much stronger with them. However, let me preface that by saying I have not done my research on ACB, so I don't know if there's some insider buying. I'm not sure what is going on there, but technically speaking, I want to be in the ones that are stronger. Kronos or CGC at responsible levels following your trade plan. But if you notice something, ACB is flagged on my list. So that means at some point I've looked at it in the past. Alibaba. So just in general, we've been talking about these China names a lot recently, right? Probably, I say probably, definitely because of the tariff talk, right? Some of those Trump tweets. But let's hop back out to the weekly. And here you go. So boom, boom. This is going to be, this right here was your really, really kind of your first support once you got below this. This is the weekly for me, by the way. The black line is a 40 moving average, which is basically the 200 on the daily. If you guys use other moving averages on your weekly, let me know. But there is no question that Alibaba could pull down into the mid 140s, right? That's okay. I went ahead and sold some puts. We talked about it yesterday. If I'm going to try to catch a falling knife, I usually do not start acquiring shares. I usually wait for some type of rounding. For that, I would rather sell puts. Blake, I don't sell puts. You may say, hey, I don't know how to do it. It's too margin intensive. There's too much risk involved. How do I do it? If you're not going to do that and you want to be long BABA, I would buy calls, but I would do it at least probably 4 to 6 months out. Usually I say 2 to 3 for swing trades, but I think this could take some time. Even more safe bet would to buy some leaps. If you're seriously thinking about that, message me. I'll help walk you through a trade based off of the instruments you're used to trading, and we'll figure something out. Otherwise, just give it time. Give it time. We're active traders. We have time. I'd probably do, at this point, it'd probably be, it depends on the time frame. So if I did like a 6 month, it'd probably be in the money at this point. If we get another push down, I may do a 6 to 8 month out of the money a little bit, just because it's going to be cheaper. And honestly, at this point, I would probably stagger them a little bit. So let's say I wanted to own 2 calls. I would probably do one in the money right now, see what happens. If we get another push down, I'd probably buy one around the same area. And basically, that would basically dollar cost average me. But I just have put sales for now. August said, hey, this could be the ground floor for pot stocks. It could be. It could be, August. So the thing is, I always have to measure my reward and my risk, right? And I do. So full disclaimer, I still have a position on in this. I'm in at about a quarter of a position now, only because I had this down here investment, and then I added to this for a swing trade. And when you get a move like that, the responsible thing is to slowly start scaling out and let new areas form. So, hey, guess what, August? Stick with me, because let me do this. I'm going to let you know. Let August know when I'm adding. Done. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting on some consolidation or a pullback. Again, two ways to get support. Time support, so maybe a moving average, or price support. So I'm going to wait on those 2 things. You got it, August. All right. So speaking, since we were talking about BABA, let's talk about JD. I know a lot of traders in here just feeling this pain. Guess what? Me included. I have some October. I think they're 34 calls. So, hey guys, pretty sure I'm going to lose on that trade. Pretty sure. I'm okay with it. I'll lose a full R on that, but I will be looking for this for a long-term investment. May buy some leaps, may scale in with some shares if I see something on the hourly, right? So this is the 60-minute or the hourly chart. This is kind of what you want to see. Here's a sell-off, gap up. Let's see if we get some rounding. So if you're a swing trader a little bit more active, maybe you get some rounding. I will say make sure your reward to risk gives you, I would probably shoot for 2-to-1 up into this 100 EMA on this, just mainly because this has been very volatile and you're trying to catch a bottom on it. So trade it responsibly. But again, you guys will know when I make a move on JD, I'm watching it heavily along with the cannabis industry. So China and cannabis for me at the top of my list right now. So let's hop over to, yeah, it is, isn't it? Nice little triangle. Ticker symbol GLD, which is the SPDR, Gold Trust setup. So here's the thing. Let me preface this by saying I do not trade gold a lot. Not typically my forte. But technically speaking, you have a big sell-off, right? Hold on one second, guys. Big sell-off, and sometimes you get these bounces. Most times you do, right? So if you draw a trend line right here, it's below that. I'm probably going to wait. I probably wouldn't jump ahead and get into gold right here, because there's not much bullish about it unless this is an investment longer time frame for you. I think it's maybe a good time to scale in. Honestly, I would like to see what happens. Like if something like this were to happen, boom, what's that give you? Double bottom. If you need a good visual on the double bottom, before US Steel today, I was looking at US Steel a couple days ago for a double bottom. That's kind of what you want to see. So translate that over here to gold and see if you kind of get that signal. But for now, you're kind of in, I think you're at more risk for it to move down to the downside than to the upside, just technically speaking. And that's what the hourly looks like. All right. All right. So we're doing gold and silver today. Wow. This truly may be a buy-low situation on silver. So let me zoom out. Anyone in here trade these? All right, so this is a little bit better. So a little bit better support line, right? So if you did a long entry, actually today may have been the day. I always like to anticipate if you get something like this. That was very clear support, right? So when it bounced off this level, you had a 50% move on silver. So remember, your job as a trader is to take good probability setups. So why would you not try and buy here? Right? Let me do this. Add alert. Anyone here with me that requested silver, let me know, because I want to put your name on my chart and I want to talk through the trade with you. But this is the weekly on it. I think, yeah, pretty sure we could get a bounce. And the cool thing that'll happen is if you do get a bounce, you know what? Even if you're wrong, you're going to get new levels. So even if you're wrong here, the worst thing that could happen, obviously, it just blows through this. You need to set a stop somewhere. But I do think this could at least retrace back up into the low 14s to 1450 before you get that retest again. So maybe, just maybe, a good high probability play for a bounce in this area. All right. And guys, I don't trade, again, full disclaimer, I don't trade these precious metals, the silver and the gold very often. So I'm pretty much strictly looking at the technicals on it. I think it's a good spot for silver to catch a bounce. We talked about JD. Here is Wells Fargo. I was actually watching Wells Fargo today for a minute. Look at this. Right? Boom. And then usually you get something like this. I think this is pretty clear resistance right here, right? How many times did it touch that? So here's the thing. If you were in Wells Fargo long and you start seeing this, that's almost a tweezer. This 59.50, 59.60 level is super strong resistance. So I am a little bit bearish. I say a little bit. I'm bearish on Wells Fargo right now until I see something like this. And then maybe it happens. I want to see this push down below the 200, put in a higher low, and then maybe go. But if you're long Wells Fargo, be cautious. If you weren't able to take some off up here, you may get a little bounce off this 200 on Monday. But fully expect Wells Fargo to pull back. Bank of America was in the news a little bit this morning as well. A little bit stronger than Wells Fargo. Anyone know if Wells Fargo had news? One second, guys. Let me delete this. I'm really struggling deleting these lines. Hey, there we go. All right. So yes, I was just saying Wells Fargo, be cautious if you're long. Gonna get a pullback in it, I think. Now, for some reason this gap's up here. Ooh, that looks beautiful, but I would not expect that. So be careful on Wells Fargo if you're in it. ANET looks very similar to what we just looked at in NTNX, right? So very same analysis on ANET. Wow, really big volume there. So what's interesting to see on this is the two most important indicators are, ready for it? Price, number one. Number two, volume. So the first thing I noticed when I look down here is, okay, there was some news on ANET that sent this up on this gap. And then the very next day, you had bigger volume on the black candle and it continued down there. So to me, if I'm in this trade and I see something like this, I'm closing out half my position or all because I want to remain very, very cautious. So what happened over the next day is we had this tech pullback. Now you're in a very clear support level. So I know ANET was requested before today. So if someone was looking at that, I think you're in an area where you can kind of get triggered in. And I say kind of. This is a nice spot to buy. And a lot of people ask me this. They say, hey, Blake, how do I set my stop if I buy there? Well, this is what you'll do. You kind of have to anticipate and guess, right? Will you get stopped out? Maybe. It's very possible. But this is what I like to do. You guys ready for my secret? It's really not that big a secret. It's just managing risk. So what I would do is I would go ahead and anticipate this because this is major support. More than likely, you're probably going to get something like this. Maybe, you know what? What if it breaks down lower? Then maybe something like this. Now you have a double bottom. I'm going to move my stop up. It also leaves you very flexible because you only added one half into this anticipation to add the other half on this break. So congratulations. I know it's uncomfortable to buy into support like that because there's no confirmation. And as human beings, we like that. But get used to it. Try it a couple times. I know Yates messaged me today and he said, man, I'm really loving this because I feel like I'm more green initially on some of these trades than if you trade a breakout and it gets smacked down and doesn't continue. So let me show you one that I got executed into and lost on, and what I mean by if something doesn't hold a breakout. I was looking to trade FireEye long right here, and it closed below that breakout level. Watch and see what happened, right? So sometimes these breakouts don't always work, and when they're wrong, you can lose a full R really, really fast. So don't be afraid to buy and support at times, especially you guys are swing traders. You guys are investors. Kind of have to do that sometimes. Big lots. Ken Freeman, I know are you in here? Anyway, Ken asked for ticker symbol RH, and is that PFE? Pfizer. I broke it down yesterday, but I made the mistake of not recording, so we'll go through it again. Here is Big Lots. So the comment I got on Big Lots was a beautiful, absolutely beautiful analysis. So on earnings, we were looking to trade this as, I don't remember if we were fading or shorting this, and I'll tell you why. Yes, my red line. I don't know why the 100 doesn't stay on there. So my red line is the 50. My black line is the 200 simple moving average. Red line's 50 simple moving average. Blue is the 100. Can you guys see that if I leave that up? I have a lot on here. So I have like the naked put, indicator, those type of things. Yep. Okay, cool. I'll just leave it up there for you guys. But know that the blue is the 100, black is the 200, red is the 50. So here was the analysis, and I love this because the trader that asked me about this, they talked about something that a lot of traders don't ask the question on. And I know I've done a video on short float before, but he said, hey, Blake, can we look at big lots? Because I know technically speaking, this looks bearish, but let me get this advertisement out of the way. But we have a very high short float, right? And just a quick reminder, high short float means that a lot of people are short this, and that means a lot of buyers are going to take profits into a down move. You may get new buyers, new investment buyers, or if this starts moving up, those guys may get squeezed out. So here's my analysis on big lots. I noticed the short float doesn't mean it's going to go up. Right now, I cannot be bullish. And what I would do to be bullish is let this come down, you know, do something like this, wiggle, whatever, form a base. And if it starts to go back up and those shorts haven't come out, if you get a move up, they will squeeze. And I was looking on at something like AAOI for that. So this was a squeeze play on ticker symbol AAOI. Capitalized there. They had earnings here. It was still a high short float, and I was looking to do the same thing. And guess what? No, sir. So just because there's a high short float doesn't mean it's necessarily going to squeeze and go higher, but there's a chance it could. It's a probability play. If you factor in other things such as the patterns, stuff like that. So again, my analysis on big lots, I think this should push down, higher low somewhere, and then maybe we get a good reward to risk opportunity. You guys will hear me say that a million times because that's all it's about. All right. AMD is my boy Neil Osborne in the house. So Neil loves AMD. We've talked about it probably since this pattern right here. So what Neil loves to do is we talk about rounding patterns a lot, right? Strong push, pull back, round, buy calls. And whoop, whoop, whoop. Man. So my opinion on AMD is, let's hop back over here to FinViz. Show you guys something. Short float, 15% on a company like AMD? Really? That's a lot. Lots of shorts. And I think what's happening is this move right here, a lot of this move were shorts just stumbling over themselves, meaning, hey, no one's really selling this, that the people that have owned it, because there's no reason. They're not being forced to sell it yet. So they're just holding on, and all these shorts are just getting squeezed out when they're being forced to cover. I like AMD. I just can't buy it up here. It looks very similar to some of these cannabis companies, right? So I need this to either do something like this, go like this, form a base, or pull back, right? So those are the two things I'm looking for. Man, it almost looks like I tried to draw something there, right? So yes, I need this to hold up for a while here, or I need it to pull back into support levels. For me, it's a no trade right now, unless I'm going to sell puts, and I'd want to sell puts on support levels, right? You guys remember the two rules in selling puts? If I sell puts, I'm okay with owning it at that price, or two, I know how to hedge if I get in trouble, and I'm willing to do so. So I'd be looking to sell puts. Don says, need to leave early. Travel safely. We'll tune in next week. Same time, same station. Don, as always, we love you. We'll see you next week. So here is ticker symbol RH. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. Again, my apologies for not recording. Yeah, so basically their CEO came out talking about how difficult it is to hold margins with all this online stuff. He got punished for it. Also, looks like earnings wasn't awesome. Numbers are green, but investors didn't like something. So the question is, your puts on margin or cash? They're on margin. So let me tell you something. Mr. Falco, if you're in here, I think it was Falco and someone else had a great analogy that they had heard this week at the retreat. I'll take just a second to share that. They said, we can absolutely talk about CVS. They said, hey, I was once talking to someone and they said, hey, if you think you have a really good investment, such as a house, you know, do you buy your house on margin, basically with a loan? For most people, I know for me, the answer to that is yes. So they said, hey, why wouldn't, if you have an edge and you want to own a company, why do you not mind doing it on a little bit of margin? Thought that was interesting. Not even sure that that's relevant to the question. Thought that was really cool to share. But I will sell puts on margin for sure. Now, here's my disclaimer on margin. If you're not making money consistently and you don't think you have a proven edge, be careful with margin because margin magnifies everything. It'll either magnify your wins or it'll magnify your losses, right? So those losses will grow exponentially or those gains will as well. So, so August is calling me out. Said you can't live in a put. That's true. That's true. But you can own, I guess, that trade, that stock, that put, just like you can on home. So you know what? You're right. I'll leave it at that. To me, in my head, it made sense, and at the retreat, it made sense. But you know what? You're right. So back to ticker symbol RH. Here's a high or low right here. So maybe you get a quick bounce. But for me, I use the daily as my guide. And yeah, this is support level right here. So if you guys want to start drawing lines, you know, you could take a stab right there, right? Kind of where we drew that line yesterday. But a lot of times when these lose momentum, and that is a absolute clear double top, break of that, I'm wanting to buy this. If I can get this line to move, I want to buy it somewhere down here, right? Otherwise, let this shape up and give me different levels. But if I'm buying into the dip, if I'm trying to buy low, I want very clear support, and I think it's down here. Could this bounce? Will it bounce? Probably. But I'm going to make it show itself to me before I step in on that one. All right. Pfizer. This is what we were talking about yesterday. I said, hey, I absolutely love this name right now. Look at the support levels. Such clear. I mean, I could draw so many of these lines. And let me just tell you guys, if you're ever in a trade like this, if you ever catch a swing trade and you get this, let's say you traded this breakout. Let's say this was a target. You take some off. You get that. You should move your stop up. You should sell into this a little bit. But if you are an investment in an investment that's doing something like this, hold. Hold. I'm serious, guys. Some of these trades can make your year. And this has done nothing to tell us otherwise that there's any pullback coming in Pfizer. Right? So here's the weekly. I mean, very, very strong. So if you're in this one, congratulations. If you're looking to get into this, see how it interacts with this high up here around the mid 42s. When is earnings? Wow, we got a long ways. November 1st. Yeah, I mean, this hasn't even put in not a lower high, not a lower high. I mean, this is, wow. Okay, so if you ever want to know what we say when we say, hey, make a stock tell you when to get out, this is what we're talking about. So if I'm looking to get in, I'm probably going to wait on some type of retrace based off of a fib. So let's just draw it off this level. Let's say this is the high. You guys see how that respects the fib. You could take a stab at that. Honestly, at this point, I'd want to see this pull back into the mid 40s in this range. And I'd want it to shape up or give me some type of pivot. So Pfizer's going to be a little bit harder to get in at this point, just from a risk to reward standpoint. Maybe this is one you sell puts on, or one that you maybe buy a leap or something. But I'll tell you, that is super, super strong. So if you're in that, do yourself a favor and just hold as long as you can until it tells you to get out. CVS. How did I miss this today? Who forgot to text me on CVS? Very, very strong looking name here. All right. So higher lows right here. Very hard to anticipate because you had earnings, right? So, wow, 300% miss, huh? So ladies and gentlemen, this is why you pair fundamentals with price action. Earnings, 300% miss, gap up, and continued up. So that's why I used to use the analogy, like you're baking a cake, get all the ingredients. I'm pretty sure that's a terrible analogy, but it works. It gets the point across. August, you can't make me laugh like that. I'm trying to teach some people some things here. No, so here's what to look for on CVS. So let's just look back a little bit. Strong move on earnings, held above the 200. I'm going to be honest, this is probably one I wouldn't have caught either because I like to see them do this and then come down and retest, kind of like Johnson & Johnson did. It's just a little bit harder for me to trade this unless I traded it on earnings in this breakout right here. This 69.40 breakout. Right now, if you're in this, again, just like Pfizer, I think this one gives you a pretty clear stop level right there. And that's why a lot of times if I'm in something, I will leave. You guys will see me leave my stop down here. And a lot of people say, Blake, that's far away. What if it comes down and stops you out for a full R? I said, you know what? I'm okay with that because I do not want to get wicked out of this for a bigger move. So if I was in this, let this happen. Boom, there's your wick. There's your candle right there. And if I had my stop down here, guess where it's going? Right there. Because now you have a new move up. Let me look over at the hourly on CVS, right? So if I was looking for an entry, it's a little bit easier to do this sometimes if you zoom into the hourly. I would move this up to this area. I think you may have a decent reward to risk opportunity there. But it'd probably take a little bit of time. You'd probably get this move. That's probably more likely. And I know I draw these same lines over and over and over, but it's really what happens. Not perfectly, but it's what happens. Cheryl says, can you look at Boeing? Hey, I haven't even looked at Boeing today, and I know it's down because I just typed it in and it's red, but I love it. It's another one that looks really, really well. It's kind of in that sector where money seems to be flowing out of tech into a little bit. So I know I like it, but we will for sure look at it. FC says, I'm in a put that expires at the end of the month, 73.50. FC on CVS. And, yep, so you bought calls. Oh, you're in a put. You bought the put or you sold the put? At 73.50. Ah, I see what you're doing. Yeah. See, okay, cool. So, FC, this is what happens a lot, right? Big push up. Now it looks like it's going to roll over. And look at that volume come in. So, FC, you were not the only person that saw that technical rounding happen, that technical pattern. And this is why I like to keep my stop a little ways away until I get this pivot, right? Oh, did it? Got it. Okay. Yeah, this one's probably going to continue up. What day is it? The 7th. I'm going to put that expires. Probably going to lose on that one if I had to guess, unless some more news comes out. Yep, I would. But FC, you have to remember, I only win like 44% of the time, so I lose a lot. But let me show you something. This is very, very typical. So these two trades right here are mine. So I lost 0.25 hours today in a day trade, and then I won 1.19. So I take losses all the time. I see it, and I say, you know what? I don't want to be a part of it. I'm taking the loss. So I take losses a lot. I just want to lose small. So I think that put's not going to work out. Just my guess. Justin says, oh, it skipped your stop. Yeah, it happens, especially in options. It seems to happen. Justin says, look at the gap up and tweet after hours. So Tweezer and then 2 inside candles and broke higher. Tweezer, gotcha. Look at the gap up. Yeah, right there. So this is what Justin's talking about. This is what you're talking about, Justin? Right here? Yep. Absolutely. And a lot of times, once these get going over, if they've been under the 200 for a little while, once they get going, you can get some really big moves. So yeah, absolutely. That is super bullish. But yeah, I would probably just go ahead and take the loss from those puts. I know it went through your stop. By the time you wait for this pullback, if it happens, and it could happen Monday, time decay FC is going to come into play. So that option is going to lose its value anyways. So maybe one of those, you just go ahead and take the loss on it. All right, so moving on, a ticker symbol STX. I said yesterday that I like this one because it is a little bit of a bottoming play. Typically when I play bottoms, I like to see a little bit more rounding, but we zoomed back and there's pretty good support levels here. So even if I got stopped out on this one, I wouldn't mind taking that trade, right? I do think we get at least a push back up into this 52 area, and then you'll find out. You're probably going to get a push right back down, maybe a higher low, maybe back up. But I do like Seagate. I probably, if I was trading this one, let me back up, folks. 60, not so nice, huh? I probably have wanted to take this one out of the gate today, but I'll tell you what. STX, now that I reevaluated, hold off on it. You could buy an out-of-the-money call. If you can get this October expiration date, so volatility is going to cause that price to go up. Maybe you buy a 52 out of the money if those are available. That could work. But you may get a rollover here in the next couple of days. So that's the only way I trade it bullish. If I'm trading it bearish, I'd wait for a little bit more of a push up just for reward to risk, right? So let it shape up for you. But I will tell you that finish today on the hourly looks bearish with volume the last 2 hours. So it may be time for that pullback. For me, it's a no trade, but I can see it both ways. I would just play them differently either way. Oh, is STX the one this week? Yeah, if I'm just looking at it, I would agree. I would tend to agree with that just because of how this closed. Now, if you get a gap up on Monday right above today's high, that should push, no question, back up to 51.50. But for weeklies, I love this. Jeremy's really good at these weeklies, so follow him because even if he loses, what he does is very high reward possibility trades, right? So he doesn't mind it going to absolute zero or whatever his stop is, but he knows that there's a high reward opportunity on it. And that's what you want to do. It's not about the win percentage. It's about how much can I make and how much more is that than I can lose. Oh, he's talking about puts. All right. Well, in that case, congrats. I think you're all going to be profitable. Oh, what was the actual? I am curious. What was the actual put option, the strike price? Jeremy loves to do out of the money, so I'm assuming probably like a 48. We will see. 48. There you go. Yeah, I can see that for sure. You never know. Never know. All right, Snapchat, per the request. I think it's too far down to short, but not strong enough to buy. Is this all-time lows for Snapchat? Wow. All right. All right. Good job. Very nice. Expiring next Friday on your snap puts. September 21st. I would hold. I would hold. If you have multiple, I would depending on where you took it, I'd probably have taken some off probably 2 days ago. But here's the thing. If this breaks this 960 level, people could just be tired of this. This could make its way down to $8 or so. It is just catching no bids. Speaking of Snapchat, anyone taking a look at Twitter? I mean, you want to talk about a rounding pattern that looked good and then just got slapped on the face? Boom. There's a lot of backing for Snapchat, so I don't know if they'll go bankrupt, but it's possible. All right, let's hop over to Boeing. This was my analysis on Boeing. I said, hey, I want to trade this two ways. I want this to come down at this support level, or I want to break out. And the reason is, hey, I've talked about it a few times today, is, yeah, exactly what it's doing. So if it breaks up, can anyone tell me what the advantage of waiting for that was? Instead of just going ahead and buying it here or buying on this breakout, just setting these levels and see what happens. Since I'm almost out of time, I'll tell you, because now you have a very clear support level, this candle right here. Right? So you get to move, you get to set a stop there. If it breaks out, you get to buy that with a stop down here. And what you really want to hope for is that breakout, and then to come down, do something like that. And then you just go over here and you go, all right, that's cool. I'm just going to move my stop up. Give it a little bit of room since you're a swing trader, because these things can gap and get balled up. But yeah, Boeing is absolutely beautiful. Whew. I don't know why these lines do not have alerts, because I want me some Boeing. I want it. That is fabulous. And they're doing good things in terms of making money, stuff like that. So would have rather have gotten this, but you know what? I will take this all day long. What else? Oh, we're back up to Johnson & Johnson, which kind of falls in that Boeing category for me. NVIDIA. You want to look at NVIDIA? Absolutely. Very similar to AMD, actually a little bit weaker. So first level support was today, very obvious. There you go. Next level is down here. From a reward to risk standpoint, I'm waiting on this before I take a stab at it. I am a little cautious with NVIDIA right now, just because it's in this tech sector. So it's, you know, we look back at all the Facebooks. Oh, anyone want to look at Facebook? Because I'm having to battle it right now. So I'm going to have to do analysis later at some point. So this is what we were talking about happening yesterday. Fully expect this to happen. These are my put sales, meaning I am long. I have not been put I have not been, you know what I'm trying to say. I don't actually own it yet. I still have these put sales that are way underwater. So I had to buy some puts to hedge. Fully expect this to happen. Then maybe a rollover. We'll see. We will see. AES, Mike, I'll look at it for you really fast. Absolutely bearish. No question. No reservations. Here's the reason why. Oh, Mike, we talked about this one yesterday, right? So here's what I think. This has been holding on this 50, right? In fact, tell me the last time maybe it closed below the 50 right there, but it's been a while since it's actually closed below it, and guess what? Not only did it close, you got some consolidation gap down. This should for sure. There's no question if I'm in this short, I'm trying to hold this down to 1250 for target one. And my stop's up here around 1360. I use a real stop for, so trade a little bit differently. Intraday, absolutely hard stop. Take me out. It's cool because I trade a lot of day trades in the month. For swing trades, I will have a stop there. Every morning I go through my positions when I wake up, see if anything's gapping, have alerts, and then I will, if I'm being tested, I will put that hard stop in. Do not mind getting stopped out at all. It's my job to get stopped out. So absolutely day trades for sure hard stops when I enter the orders. Swing trades, I have alerts, and I make sure that if I'm getting tested, I put my stop in. Mainly because I don't want to turn into hopeful. If it passes through my stop and I see it, I should be out of that. I don't want to say, oh, well, it should bounce here. So mainly it's also a protection against me as well. All right, guys, I'm going to go through my flag list because we have 9 more minutes. See if anything else I want to talk about, bring to your attention. CRISPR Therapeutics, I am in on this one. So I took some off here, looking for a pivot. I moved my stop up here. Okay, losing small. It almost got to target 2. Let's see. ATVI. So I'm in both ATVI for you gamers out there, Activision Blizzard. This is my setup. So I practice what I preach. Don't worry. Looking for this. I didn't buy this dip down here. I waited on a little bit of confirmation, got in there, took some profits, held through this downgrade, and this is what's happening. So if this pushes back up, in fact, you know what? This is why I love trading with you guys. Boom, there's my new stop. Right there. Done. So there's Activision. Speaking of these, yeah, Activision. Ticker symbol ATVI. Here's EA Sports. I thought this was crazy. This sell-off was like a $10 billion market cap sell-off, basically on a downgrade and them delaying their product for a month. Maybe that cost them $10 billion. I just didn't see it, so I was okay taking a put sell for 478 at 110. So basically my intrinsic value is 110 minus 478. What's that, 105.22? Guys, I got sleep last night. I can do math now. So I'll have to configure some hedging if this gets down to 105.22. So that's ticker symbol EA. Let me run down the list, see if there's anything else I wanted to talk to you about. So 3D today, my boy Stephen King went ahead and got long for a swing trade. I approve of that. I think this industry has some good things to do, but I do think it may take a little time for digestion. That gap was 2 days after I got in. Blow through my stop loss. Are you talking about ATVI or EA? This? I see what happened. I can absolutely see this. You know what? I love this. Absolutely love this pattern. This is pretty similar to what was happening on ATVI, right? You can't help these gaps like this. If you trade long enough, I promise you, those gaps will not only go against you, but they'll also go in your favor. And they will equal each other out. So you know what? Hey, if it blew past your stop, sometimes I will try to reconfigure, hey, what can I do to protect my shares? Most of the time, I'll just take the loss, move on, because I know over time they'll go in my favor. Because you know what? I own CGC. Same thing. This gap went in my favor. So you trade long enough, that'll happen. If you're a swing trader or longer-term trader, you will get gaps. We talked about EA. Let's look at Alaska Airlines. We talked about it last week. Just looking for a little consolidation. Low volume on options. I was looking at that the other day. And we talked about PepsiCo yesterday. That's another one that I like. So some of these, consumer staple type products, they're starting to eye up pretty well. Yates was talking to me about this one today. So if you guys want to look at anything else, let me know. You've got 10 seconds. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you guys to have an amazing weekend. You guys know the drill. Live life. Love life. And trade it. Yeah, enjoy watching Elon this weekend. Hey, love you guys, and see you next week.